Thank you so much, Owen, for that introduction. And it's truly an honor to be here. And congratulations to all the graduates. And I'm going to try to stand over here because I think my commencement address is more for y'all than it is for the people out here. So I'll do my best to try to direct that. But it is so fun to be back with the Vanguard community. The last few days, or the last few weeks, ever since I was honored to be invited back to give this commencement address, I've been reflecting on my time at Vanguard and chatting with some of my classmates and my parents and my sister about our time there, and reminiscing about what a phenomenal community Vanguard is, and what a great place it was to prepare me for life and y'all for life. And congratulations to y'all for making this important milestone. You know, at Vanguard, I got to participate in so many things. In debate, I got to practice extemporaneous speaking, which prepared me for this moment right now. And I got to participate in all the sports. Actually, it was very fitting. The first person I saw when I walked up this morning was Coach Curtis. And after all of the running drills that Coach Curtis made me do over the years, you know, it caused me to reflect on how great that athletic period also prepared me for life, you know, in terms of thinking about the teamwork and so many fond memories of hanging out in the senior lounge. And I just talked to Owen. Y'all continued a tradition that was true in 2008, which was going to Disney World, and I asked him how the trip was, and he said, very tiring. And I think that's correct. That's how it was for me, and I'm really glad to hear that y'all made the most of your senior trip together. So it's such an honor to be back and such an amazing time and to reflect on my time at Vanguard. I will say, though, that my time at Vanguard was not all an upward linear trajectory, and it was something that was filled with some setbacks, and it wasn't all sunshine. And in fact, I think one example of that to give you, I was chatting with one of my classmates just last week and reflecting on what an honor it was to be invited to come give the commencement address. And she looked at me with a dead serious face and said, "Isn't it ironic that the worst student in Vanguard's history is coming back to give the commencement address?" And that's because, especially by the time I got to my senior year, I was not a particularly good student. And I you know, wasn't giving it my all. And in a lot of times I would look at my classes I was in, and I would try to do just the very bare minimum to get by. And I would not really reach out and try to kind of treat my teachers and the administration with the respect that I now know people as lifelong educators deserve. And that was something that that led to some setbacks for me. And when it came to time to apply to college, you know, I had a good SAT score. You know, I'd participated in good extracurriculars, and I thought it was a foregone conclusion that I would just get into whatever college I wanted. And then the decisions came, and for me, my college applications came rejection, 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 rejection. And it really caused me to step back and think, like, how could this be possible? I thought I'd done the right things. And I realized that the schools weren't willing to overlook the really poor grades that I had, and they weren't willing to overlook the fact that I hadn't given my teachers a reason to write great references about me. I had not been the kind of student or person that would let a teacher to really, you know, put their reputation on the line to do that. And really to get into a successful school, it wasn't just about having the right test scores or checking the right boxes, but it was about showing that effort and about building that community and treating people with respect. And you know, through all that time, I became increasingly worried that maybe I wouldn't, you know, find the right home. And then I got very fortunate that finally one school was willing to take a bet on me, and I got accepted into the University of Tulsa, which is where I pursued my mechanical engineering degree, which was turned out to be just an absolutely fantastic place for me and really set me up for future success. And I reflected a lot on my shortcomings, that setback of, you know, not getting into the schools that I wanted. And I approached my senior year, or my freshman year at college, with a very, very different approach. And I encourage y'all to think through this. And there's three things that I think I changed about how I pursued college and beyond that set me up for success based off of the failures and shortcomings that I experienced in high school. And the first was very simple, that you need to give your best effort at everything. You know, when I started in college, I took a very different approach to what I thought I was doing in high school, which was looking up at the scores and saying, okay, if I just do this bare minimum, I will pass. And that's kind of where I got in trouble, because If you just do the bare minimum, sometimes you pass, but one little mistake puts you in a tough spot. Lindsay, my sister who's here, class of 2005 at Vanguard, was a great role model. She won academics for number sense and painting her senior year, number sense being the mental math competition. I won district in number sense, and I thought I was going to go on to follow in my sister's footsteps and be a state champion in math. But I failed too many classes and I got put on academic probation. So imagine that I won district in an academic challenge, but I didn't show up and put the effort in to actually get the grades to even participate in that. And so when I got to college, I treated this totally differently, and I said, okay, what if instead of trying to just do the bare minimum to pass, what if I tried to get 100 in every class? What if I gave my best effort? And I can tell you, I did not get 100 in every class, but that effort put me in a great position to succeed. So when I fast forward a few years later, and I had the opportunity to apply to grad school, it was a totally different picture. And I actually had the grades to go along with the results that got me into Stanford. And so that was something that I would say stuck with me from that, is whatever you choose to do, give it your best effort, and do it 100% of the time. And today I carry that into our work at Fervo, where every person at the company, whether it's accounting or engineering or geology, I always challenge them, are you the best team in the world at what you do, and are you giving it your best effort? And I think that's one of the keys to success. And so that's kind of the first truth, is take the best effort you have at anything that you choose to pursue, give it your best effort. The second thing I want to mention that really came from my time at Tulsa was, there's a very famous Oklahoman named Will Rogers that I think, depending on your age in the audience, you either nod and say yes, or you have no idea who I'm talking about. But suffice to say, he was the most famous person in the world probably a long time ago. And part of it was he had a life philosophy that I've tried to adopt, and I learned about when I moved to Oklahoma, because he was sort of the favorite son of the state of Oklahoma. So he looms very large in their lore. And one of his phrases he said is, "I've never met a man I didn't like." And I actually like that approach to life, and it should be amended today to say, "I've never met a person I didn't like." But what that means is every person you meet them understanding that you think they're coming to you with the best intentions, and that they're an interesting and creative person, and you should get to know them. And that's true of everybody across the board. That wasn't something that I did with my teachers at Vanguard all the time. And now, my sister Lindsay became a teacher, my wife Iris became a teacher, and now I know teachers, and I know that they are the people that do a very hard job to devote their life to educating people. And the fact that I didn't always treat them with the respect that they deserved is something that weighs heavily on me today. And one piece of very practical advice that I will give you that not a lot of people do when they go to college is your professors are the same way. And I made it an effort every class I took to at least take 5 minutes to stop by my professor's office and introduce myself to them, tell them why I was taking their class. And not because what you don't want to do is show up at the very end of the quarter and say, "Oh, I'm sorry I missed that homework assignment. Will you please give me a better grade?" You don't want that to be the first time they meet you. You want it to be when you can go and meet them on their own terms, and treat them with respect, and treat them with dignity, and actually build that social bond with them. So that's my probably most practical piece of advice as you transition to the college environment is professors are great people, and you should try to get to know them. It'll make a difference in your experience. And that's true of everybody. One of my other favorite anecdotes is there's a story right when NASA got started about when they were on a mission to put a man on the moon, and JFK was touring the NASA facilities in 1962. And as a good politician, he was stopping and shaking hands with everybody, and he stopped and asked the janitor about what his work was. And the janitor turned to him and replied, "I'm working to put a man on the moon." And that, I think, is one of the most powerful things when you think about an organization, and it's something that I bring to my work at Fervo every day. If you go out to our field site in Utah right now, you'll find 400 people there hard at work. And that's everybody from the janitors to keep the place clean, to the engineers running the operations, to the welders, to everything in between. And one thing that makes our work successful is this inherent respect and dignity for people. Everyone who's on that site is working to make our mission possible. And as you go and do anything that you do in your life, try to bring that perspective to the world, that your teachers, your professors, your coworkers, your friends are all people that deserve respect and dignity. And if you treat them that way, they're going to be very excited to help you and support you for your next mission. So those are my two pieces of practical advice. And maybe my third thing I want to leave you with is understanding that success on its own is not very fulfilling, but success kind of with the right people and the right relationships is. So I got to go on a very wild experience over the last few weeks. I actually was in New York for our IPO. We IPO'd on Wednesday of last week, so this is still very fresh. And if you haven't gone through an IPO on Wall Street before, it's a very surreal experience. You're there for 2 straight weeks, and you meet with 10 investors every day, back to back to back to back forever. And then you get out of the meeting, and then the investors give you a yes/no on whether or not they're going to invest in your company. And I'm very excited to say we had one of the most successful IPOs in the energy industry in history, and we got a lot of those conversions to yes. We ended up raising $2.1 billion in the IPO, and our company today is valued at $11 billion. And when I sat across the table from these investors, I was always trying to say, like, how do they make their investment decisions? What actually goes into this? And the feedback we got over and over and over again was I didn't go just myself. I brought 4 members of the Fervo team, and over and over and over again, we heard the investors say the cohesion of that team, the way they traded off answering questions, the way they supported each other, that's why we made our decision to invest in Fervo. And we have all sorts of accomplishments in the field and with our financial metrics and everything else. But it was amazing to me, even at sort of like the pinnacle of capitalism in Wall Street, that the way people made decisions was observing how we behaved as team members. You know, it wasn't about ego, it was about what we could collectively do together. And that was the big reason for the success of our IPO, which was very surprising to me, but I was very excited about the culture we built. And then in terms of the people you bring along the way with you, my parents are here in the audience today. We rang the bell at NASDAQ last Wednesday, and my parents were up on the stage with me for that, as was my wife, Iris. And I think that's one thing that I appreciate, is that our coworkers and my family and my friends are people that I have invested, that we have all invested in building that relationship together. And I think as y'all embark on this next journey, some of y'all are going to different schools, some of y'all are going in different areas, and I think that understanding, you know, that the relationships you form along the way, your family, your friends, your coworkers, if you do the right things and treat them with respect, that celebrating those things together with the people you really care about is really what defines success. So invest in that time as well. So those are my 3 pieces of advice. You know, give everything your 100% best effort, treat everybody you interact with respect and dignity, and bring people along the way that you want to be with, and I think you're going to be very successful. And by the way, I know there's the junior class sitting over here and other younger siblings and people in the audience. All the comments I made about professors and everything, you don't have to wait to college to have that epiphany. You can take action on that right now. So that's my charge to the other students in the audience. And I will tell you, we are in an interesting place in the world right now where there's a lot of uncertainty about what the future of work looks like in politics around the world, you name it. And what our world needs more than anything is leaders in the next generation. And my experience at Vanguard has shown me it is a very unique environment that can prepare that next generation, give you the skills you need to actually be a true leader in the world. And that's my charge to you. Go out and be that leader, and remember to give it your best effort, to treat people with respect, and to bring people that you want along the journey with you. And you will have phenomenal success, and you will do it the right way. And this graduation is an enormous accomplishment, but it's just the next step in your journey. And I'm very excited about all the accomplishments I've heard of already from what this class has done, and all the accomplishments you're going to do together in the years to come. So congratulations.